Today I'm going to give you 4 tips to rebuild emotional safety and mend your marriage. So why is emotional safety so important in a relationship? It's simple. If you don't have it in your relationship, how should I put this politely? It's fucked. A lack of emotional safety is responsible for 90% of the issues that you're having in your relationship. But unfortunately, most people mistake the symptom for the problem. So they'll say things like, oh, we're just communicating badly, or we're always arguing and bickering, or there's a lack of connection, or we just feel like roommates. Guys, it all boils down to the same thing, a lack of an emotional safety. What is emotional safety? I think the easiest way to define emotional safety is how secure a person feels in a relationship to express themselves fully without the fear of negative repercussions. So you can reflect in your relationship, how safe and secure do you feel to express your vulnerable thoughts and your feelings without your partner reacting negatively. And I like to see emotional safety like a bridge. So when you get together with your wife, that bridge is strong. It allows you and your wife to connect, to communicate, and to feel secure, to be yourselves, to be your authentic selves. But over time, you guys have negative interactions, and the integrity of that bridge, it starts to falter, and you guys start to feel insecure on that bridge, and it causes you guys to pull away. And as this continues over years and you guys continue to have negative interactions, yourself and your wife, you keep pulling away from each other, and at the end, this is why you feel disconnected. You've got that big gap, that emotional safety is no longer there for you to be able to connect. And here's the crazy thing, guys. Lots of people talk about, oh, the problem is our communication. We just need to be able to communicate more. It's not the case. Communication is not the problem. You don't have emotional safety. You can communicate as much as you want, but if your wife doesn't feel safe that she can, express her feelings and her emotions without you attacking or reacting badly, and vice versa, you're never going to be able to communicate, properly. And so you can learn all the techniques you want about how to turn a complaint into a request, or how to frame everything in I when you talk to your wife. It won't matter. You need to get emotional safety in your marriage. How do we erode emotional safety? It happens when we react badly to our wives opening up. So our partner comes to us, opens up, shares something vulnerable, and we react badly. So how can we react badly? That could be something like making a joke, being judgmental, being defensive, getting angry, stonewalling, so shutting down altogether, or just trying to fix the issue. I know this might sound crazy, but this is what a lot of us guys do, is we want to fix the issue, right? If you're anything like me, when my wife has a problem, or I used to want to just fix the issue, she'd share with me and I'll start telling her all the different ways she can fix it. It's horrendous, because your wife then feels like you're not listening to her, that you're not understanding her, and what you're doing is you're invalidating her emotions. So let her share, listen to her, but don't be a fixer. And when we do any of these behaviors, what we're doing here is we're eroding emotional safety. So your wife pulls back from you. She's like, well, she wasn't expecting that reaction from you when she shared something vulnerable. So she pulls back and she makes a decision. I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to share that kind of information because he reacts badly. And this happens over years, over a long period of time. And what happens is she stops sharing with you eventually. She shares less and less. So issues don't get addressed. They start to stack. And this is what inevitably leads marriages to fail. Now, the good news here, guys, is it only takes one person to rebuild emotional safety. So even if your wife is now saying she wants a divorce, or has filed for divorce, or you're going through a separation, it only takes one person to build an emotional safety. But unfortunately, sometimes I'll hear from men, she's not giving me emotional safety. And they'll go and talk to their wife and say, hey, you should be giving me emotional safety so I can express myself. But the crazy thing here is, guys, is you're just making the situation worse. By trying to address the emotional safety, you're eroding more emotional safety. You can't address it that way. So rather than blaming your wife and saying she should be giving you emotional safety, why not take ownership? Be the person that's going to rebuild the emotional safety, and be really honest with yourself. Ask yourself, am I creating emotional safety in my marriage for my wife at the moment? And if not, you should follow these tips. So let's now look at how you can repair the bridge and the 4 tips to rebuild emotional safety in your marriage. Number 1, see the best in your wife. Guys, you've been married with your wife for anywhere between 5 or 15 years. You've got resentment in the marriage. It's built up over time. Even the most simple conversations turn adversarial. You don't feel like you're on the same team. There's bitterness. You don't feel the connection like you used to have. And you just feel like roommates. This isn't what you signed up for, right? And it's so easy just to get lost in that, and to forget the woman that you fell in love with. in order to rebuild emotional safety, you need to see the best in her. Remember the person that you fell in love with. That person is still there. She's just pulled back because of all the emotional safety that's been eroded in the marriage. She's still there. She still wants to connect with you, but you've got to be able to give her space and room to show this. At the moment, you've got a picture of her in your mind, right? And you're seeing her a certain way. So you're seeing her in a certain light, like she's cold, that she doesn't care about you. And so you're reacting to that. So you go into a room and you're already preempting that she's going to be cold. So you're also short with your words. You got to let it go. Give her space. Let go of judgment and go into the room with her and remember the way she was and start trying to have a conversation like back in the day, right? And at the beginning, it might feel a little bit weird, but in essence, what you're doing here is you're wiping that slate clean. You're letting go of the past. You're being non-judgmental. And it's basically by seeing the best in her, the woman that you fell in love with, it's an invitation for her to come back, to start trusting you and to rebuild that emotional safety. Now, the second thing that you want to do here is manage your emotions. So I know you're going through a tough time. The way your wife is acting is probably not okay. She could be being cold, stonewalling you, getting angry. It's a really difficult time that you're going through. And what's key to remember here is it only takes one person to rebuild emotional safety. And the way you're going to do that, brother, is by managing your own emotions. So when she starts saying mean or hurtful words to you, you don't want to be blowing up and getting angry. You want to stay calm. And when she starts, letting out venom about the past, about things that you did, you want to be able to sit there and not get emotional, not get drawn into it and blow up. Now, this is much easier said than done. So you should check out my free masterclass. In there, I teach the most holistic approach to managing and processing your emotions. So if you haven't done it yet, check out that masterclass. Now on to number 3, listen. You need to listen to your wife. As men, what we do in most cases is we listen so we can fix. Listen so we can respond. We got to stop that, guys. When our wives are sharing, we need to find out, okay, are they sharing because they want us to listen, or are they sharing because they want a solution? And in most cases, guys, they just want to share what's going on for them. So it's really important to be able to just listen to their problems without looking to try and fix them. So you can do this by the next time your wife starts sharing with you about what's going on with her and you feel that impulse, all right, I need to fix it. I'm going to fix her problem. Just say something like, hey, sweetheart, are you sharing with me just because you want to share, or are you looking for a solution? Now, if she says she's just sharing with you because she wants you to listen, then that's fine. You don't say a thing and no problem. You just listen to her. And if she says she wants a solution, then go for it. But that's really important, guys. As men, we got to stop doing this. It's the way we work. We're fixers, but it doesn't work with women. So listen to understand your wife, to understand what she's going through, and not to fix her issues. Now, on to number 4. Have the courage to address the issues in the marriage. Like, as I was saying before, it only takes one person to rebuild the emotional safety in the relationship. Now, unfortunately, when you guys start to pull away from each other and problems are not being addressed, we get into this, it's like a vicious cycle where we'll start to think, okay, you know what, I'm just going to let this slide. If I bring this up now, things are only going to get worse. But you now know that that's just not the case. You can't let things slide. They issues stack in the relationship and it leads to your marriage failing. You need to address the issues in the marriage, and you need to do this in real time. So when something comes up, you need to address it. And that takes courage, right? Because maybe your wife's going to react badly. But here's the thing, guys. That's how you rebuild emotional safety, because your wife starts to see, holy shit. So Kevin is willing to talk to me about this issue that he knows I might not react well to, but he still does it, and he does his best to address the issue and to try and find a resolution. Now, again, this is also not a very simple thing to do. It requires a certain skill set, but I got you covered there. You can check down below. I've created a communication guide that you can download. It's going to give you 7 steps to address issues with courage, with an open heart, with your wife, so you can begin to resolve issues and rebuild that emotional safety in your marriage. So if you're struggling in your marriage, it's actually an amazing opportunity to rebuild emotional safety. It's during the toughest times and the toughest situations, like arguments, where we get the opportunity to rebuild emotional safety. So watch this next video on how to rebuild emotional safety during arguments with your wife.